Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Colleges That Change Lives Virtual Days. In this presentation, I'm Guilford College. Thank you for joining us this evening. A few housekeeping announcements before we get started. You can use the Q&A button on your screen to type your question to our presenter at any time. Your camera and microphone are off, so the panelists cannot see or hear you. This is just one of many different sessions that is happening both this evening and for the next several days, so please be sure to sign up for additional sessions. And this presentation is being recorded and will be available within about a week at the same website where you initially registered. I'd now like to turn it over to our presenter.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Morgan, and I'm the Assistant Director of Admission here at Guilford College. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you guys, and we will go ahead and get started. Hope that you're having a good evening thus far. All right, so to tell you guys a little bit about Guilford College, first of all, we're located in North Carolina, specifically in the city of Greensboro. Greensboro is actually the third largest city in the state. We're kind of in between Charlotte and Raleigh. It's where we're geographically located. And we're not quite as big as those two cities, but we're third on the list. So we have about 200,000 people that live within the city limits of Greensboro and 1 million plus within the surrounding areas. So there's a lot of opportunity for students when it comes to internships and jobs in the Greensboro area. Right where Guilford's campus is located, we're about 10 minutes away from downtown. We're also part of a great group of schools located within the Greensboro area called the Greater Greensboro Consortium. The great thing about the Greater Greensboro Consortium is that students actually have the opportunity to take classes at other college campuses within the city. So if there's a class that you're particularly interested in, or maybe you need to pick up a summer course or something like that, you actually have the option to sign up for classes on different campuses as well. And there's a few things that you can see kind of in the picture over on the right of the screen there. It's the Greensboro Grasshopper Stadium, and that's a view of downtown. So that's a quick drive from our campus, but some things that students enjoy doing in the city of Greensboro include the North Carolina Folk Festival, which takes place in downtown every year, the Greensboro Coliseum, which brings in tons of musical acts throughout the year, also the International Civil Rights Center and Museum, and the Tanger Center for Performing Arts, also located in downtown. Guilford was founded in 1837 by the Quakers, or the Society of Friends. We were actually founded on the name New Garden Boarding School, and our first class in New Garden Boarding School had 25 men and 25 women. That actually makes Guilford the third oldest co-ed school in the country and the oldest co-ed institution in the South. We actually do have a tree on campus that was part of the Underground Railroad in the early to mid 1800s. And that's just a testament to our focus and our work with social justice, not only then, but also now as well. Even though Quakerism is our religious affiliation on campus, you do not have to be Quaker to attend Guilford. We actually have less than 10% of our student body that actually identify as Quaker. You will experience a few Quaker traditions as a student at Guilford though. The first is simple. You'll just call everyone by their first name, including your professors. So you don't actually have to call your professor doctor or professor. You just get to call them by their first name. It's very chill, and it definitely takes out any of that kind of bridge that students feel that might be present between themselves and staff members, or themselves and faculty members as well. We also frequently ask students and staff to take a moment of silence before gatherings as well, in line with our Quaker tradition. And we do have 7 core values: community, diversity, equality, excellence, integrity, justice, and stewardship. We have about 1,400 students that make up our student body at Guilford, and those students come from about 38 different states and about 16 different countries. Our average class size on campus is 14 as well. So students really have the opportunity not only to get to know their professor and for their professor to get to know them, but to really strongly collaborate with those students that they're in class with. We have over 40 different majors at Guilford and also 52 minors, but our largest programs are business, psychology, biology, criminal justice, and sports studies. And we also have a graduate program in criminal justice as well. So some of you guys might know what you want to major in already, and some of you guys might not know yet, and that is a-okay. If you're one of those students and you've got some ideas, you got some things in mind that you're interested in, but you don't know for sure yet, that is a-okay. You do not have to declare a major at Guilford right when you start out as a first-year student. You've actually got about 2 years. So you've got some time to take some classes, talk with professors, see what your passions become, and then you can officially declare that major. What we do ask students to do is to choose a pathway. So we have 4 pathways that students can choose from, and our pathways are just groups of majors. So pathway number 1, social and linguistic studies, features majors like history, sociology, religion, philosophy, English and creative writing, and our foreign language programs. Pathway 2, management, math, and technology, is for students who are interested in majors like sports management, business, computing technology and information systems, cyber network security, math, economics, and accounting. Our natural sciences pathway includes majors like biology, health sciences. Health sciences is a major for students that want to go into pre-med, pre-dentistry, pre-physical therapy, or pre-veterinarian studies. Exercise science, chemistry, public health, forensic biology, environmental studies, or sustainable food systems at Guilford. And finally, our last pathway is artistic and human studies. For students that are interested in majors like criminal justice, psychology, experience design, which is like a graphic design program on campus, art, we have drawing, painting, printmaking, ceramics, and sculpture on campus, and photography as well, or majors like music, theater, or education studies as well. And I do want to take a few minutes to tell you guys about a new educational curriculum on Guilford's campus and a new initiative called the Guilford Edge. The Guilford Edge has 4 distinct points: explore, discover, gain, and experience. And as we're going through some of this information about the Edge, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to put those questions into the chat feature as well, and I'll definitely take some time to answer those. All right, so the first tenet of the Guilford Edge is explore. So we want to provide students the opportunity to get outside of the traditional classroom and to have hands-on and non-traditional learning experiences. So one of the ways that we do this at Guilford is through our unique semester calendar. Our calendar actually incorporates 1 class that lasts for 3 weeks into both the fall and the spring semester. So actually at the beginning of your fall semester and the end of your spring semester is when you take your 3-week class. During this 3 weeks, like I said, you'll only have 1 class, so that'll be your sole focus during this 3-week session. Outside of the 3-week class, you'll actually take a 12-week traditional semester. And we say traditional because what that means is that you'll take multiple classes at the same time. So most students, when they think about a college semester, they think, okay, I'm going to be taking multiple classes at the same time. Maybe those classes will meet on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule, or maybe a Tuesday, Thursday schedule. That will happen during your 12-week traditional semester at Guilford, where you'll take 3 classes for 12 weeks. So you've got 2 components each semester, that 3-week session where you take 1 class and the 12-week session where you take 3 classes. One of the great options about the 3-week term is that although you can be on campus, taking a class on campus, there are also numerous opportunities for you to get off campus during that time. So you can actually do an internship during that time, or you can travel with a group of students and professors from Guilford to a different country or to a different city within the United States. So just to give you an example, this happened before COVID, of course. Unfortunately, right now we're working hard to get our study abroad programs up and running again once some travel restrictions are lifted. But prior to COVID, our criminal justice department led a trip to Norway, where criminal justice students spent the first half of their 3-week course traveling throughout the state of North Carolina and studying the prison systems. And then for the latter half, they traveled to Norway and studied their prison systems. And the approach to criminal justice here in the United States and in Norway is vastly different. So for students to be able to see that firsthand and really understand that difference from a firsthand perspective was an incredible opportunity for students to be able to explore during their 3-week session. All right, the second tenet of the Guilford Edge is discover. So we want to make sure that students are provided with a team of people to support them throughout their time at Guilford. So we do have a team-based advising structure. So students are partnered with multiple advisors throughout their time on campus to make sure that you've got all the resources necessary to be successful both in and outside of the classroom. So students are first partnered with 2 Guilford guides. Our Guilford guides on campus are staff members. They all have backgrounds in education and advising, and they're solely there to advise and mentor our students. So you will have 1 academic advising guide. Your academic guide will help you with things like class registration, figuring out how your passions and your strengths translate into a major, and also things like mapping out your schedule to make sure that you stay on track and graduate within 4 years. You're also partnered with a career advising guide. Your career advising guide will help you with things like building your resume, making sure that your interview skills are ready for interviews that you have, making sure that they're helping you find and apply for internships, and also preparing you for what's to come after you graduate from Guilford, whether that be graduate school or entering into the workforce. In addition to the Guilford guides, we partner students with a professor from their chosen major, also alumni resources and peer mentors as well to kind of round out their advising team. In addition to your advising team on campus, we also have academic support services through our Learning and Writing Center, where you can receive tutoring for any course or meet with a writing tutor specifically for a paper or an essay that you've been assigned. We also have support services through our Accessibility Resource Center, which provides both in the classroom and outside of the classroom accommodations for students. Also, we provide career exploration support through our Guided Discovery office. They do resume building nights. They bring in speakers to try to allow students as many resources as possible, job fairs as well, as many resources as possible as they move past their Guilford College education. The third tenet of the Guilford Edge is gain. We want to provide opportunities for students to gain leadership skills while they're on campus. One of the biggest benefits of being at a small college, like I said earlier, Guilford has about 1,400 students. So you're not going to get lost, within that size on campus. You're going to have the opportunity to grow. You're going to get to know so many people. And with that comes the opportunity to become a leader on campus. Not only can you become a leader in different clubs that are led by students on campus, but you can also join specific leadership development programs through our Office of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, such as our Multicultural Leadership Scholars Program, our Quaker Leadership Scholars Program, or you can participate in community service through our Bonner Center for Community Service and Learning. And the fourth tenet of the Guilford Edge is experience. So we want to make sure that your experience at Guilford is outstanding and that Guilford becomes a place that you call home. We do have over 50 clubs and organizations that students can join. We also have a rich arts scene on campus, and we are Division III athletics at Guilford as well. We do have a tradition on campus called Serendipity. Serendipity is a spring music festival that's put on every spring for students. It's kind of like a final push towards those final exams. It's a week of events like comedy shows or color wars, roller skating, things like that. And then it rounds out with a weekend of concerts with different artists that are brought in on campus, concerts by the lake, concerts in our auditorium on campus, to provide students with an awesome week to get them through that final bit of spring semester. Also, over 80% of our students at Guilford live on campus. So we have a couple of different types of residence halls, including community style residence halls for our first year students. That's one of the residence halls that's pictured here in the photo on the left. Both of our first year residence halls have been recently renovated and are very nice spaces for students to reside. We also have upperclassmen residence halls on campus, which are apartment style residence halls. All right, so we have academic, social, and religious-based clubs on campus. The picture on the left is actually of a color war down at the lake at Guilford, where students are having a great time and getting really colorful. A few examples of our student clubs at Guilford are clubs like the Student Government Association, a Campus Activities Board, which actually plans events on campus for students, such as the Color War, Ultimate Frisbee, Guilford College Outdoors Club, Pride Club, African Student Association, Hispanos Unidos de Guilford, or HUG, Black Student Union, German Club, Guilford Christian Ministry, Food Justice Club, Pre-Law Club, Muslim Student Association, Rugby, Yoga, and the Community and Culture STEP team. If there's a club that Guilford doesn't have as well, you can also start your own club if you have a specific interest. We also have a rich art scene on campus. Within our visual arts department, students can either major or minor in art, but you can also take courses in those subjects and you do not have to be a major or a minor. That's actually the same for all of our art programs. So visual arts, music, and theater, you can participate in all of those things on campus, but you don't have to be a major. So within our visual arts department, we have ceramics, drawing, painting, photography, printmaking, and sculpture. Within our music department, we have both instrumental music and vocal music. Instrumental music, we've got jazz combos every semester, such as the photo on the right. We also have a jazz ensemble. We have a classical guitar ensemble as well, in addition to some other, like a string ensemble or woodwind ensemble, depending on the semester. We also have a college choir, the Lumina Treble Ensemble, and the Voices of Victory Gospel Choir. We do have music production on campus as well. We do have a recording studio on campus. We also have WQFS Radio, an award-winning radio station, and students can actually host their own radio show, which is really cool. We have a theater department on campus as well. And we do have a black box theater that's a great space for students because they can completely change not only the set, but also the seating for every single event. I've been to about 6 shows at Guilford, and the space has looked completely different every time I've gone in. So it's really incredible what they can do with the black box theater. And we also have a campus newspaper called the Guilfordian and a campus magazine called the Greenleaf Review as well. We are Division III athletics at Guilford. We're a part of the Old Dominion Athletic Conference. Within our conference, we play other schools within North Carolina and Virginia. We have 11 women's varsity sports and 9 men's varsity sports. Our sports include things like football, basketball, soccer, lacrosse, track, cross country, baseball, softball, golf, tennis, volleyball, swimming, rugby, and triathlon as well. And even if you don't want to be a varsity athlete on campus, you can still participate in either club or intramural sports. We have a varsity women's rugby team, we have a club men's rugby team, and we'll also do things like intramural soccer, intramural volleyball, and intramural basketball as well. There's a lot of opportunities for you to participate in athletics, even if you're not a varsity athlete. We also have a fitness center and gym on campus that's accessible to our entire student body. So you don't have to be a varsity athlete to utilize that space on campus. All right, so now we will jump into some information about the application process. And once again, if you guys have any questions, please don't hesitate to put that information and put those questions into the chat. And I'll definitely take some time to go through those questions at the end. So to apply to Guilford, you can choose one of three ways. So you can apply using the Common App. You can use the College Foundation of North Carolina application if you're a student from the state of North Carolina. Or you can access the Guilford College application for admission through our website, guilford.edu. Regardless of which application tool you use, it's always free to apply to Guilford. So you don't have to ever worry about paying a fee or anything like that. It's always free to apply. So in addition to your actual application, when we read your application, we will look at a few different things. So we'll need you to submit a copy of your transcript when you apply. And we do not have to have an official transcript to read your application. So if you happen to have a copy, like a printed copy from your school, or you have access to an online copy, you can actually either scan and email that to us, take a picture of that and email that to us. That is not a problem at all. On the flip side, if you would prefer to ask your school to send your transcript, you can totally do that as well. You can get in touch with your guidance department at your school, put in a transcript request, and then they'll make sure that they get that sent to Guilford. When we evaluate your transcript, we look at your weighted GPA because we want to reward students that have challenged themselves with things like honors classes, AP classes, IB classes, or dual enrollment classes as well. So if you've had the opportunity to take those courses, or if you do have the opportunity to take some weighted classes in the future, we definitely encourage you to challenge yourself in that way, because it'll certainly be reflected on your transcript, and we want to reward you for that challenge that you've provided to yourself. In addition to your transcript, we also look very heavily at the extracurricular activities section of your application. So make sure that while you're filling out that application, you take some time to brag about yourself. That's something that we oftentimes don't want to do, and that's completely understandable. But your college application is the time to do it. So make sure that you give us as much information as possible about the things that you've been a part of. If you've been an athlete throughout high school, if you have participated in choir or the arts, if you've participated in theater productions at your school, if you have significant family responsibilities, certainly put that on your application. If you've had a job either in the summer or throughout the school year at times, definitely put that on your application. If you've participated in any clubs at school, like if you've been a part of student government or you're a part of the National Honor Society, make sure that you put that information on your application as well. And finally, if you've had the opportunity to participate in any community service, whether that be at your school or out in your community, or leadership experiences, either in your school or in the community, make sure that you put those on your application as well. Those will look great and really highlight you as a student when we read your application. We do require a personal essay, but that topic is completely up to you. So we don't specify that topic. So you can talk about a moment of growth that you've had throughout your high school career. You can talk about how you have, or what your experience through the past few months of the coronavirus pandemic have been. Those are just a couple of options for students, but your personal essay topic is completely up to you. We're just happy to have the opportunity to learn more about you through your essay and learn how you could be a part of the Guilford College community. So we know that many students have not had the opportunity to take the SAT or the ACT scores, or the ACT test throughout this past year due to COVID. So we are test optional at Guilford. We've actually been test optional for about 10 years, but it's particularly helpful this year for sure. So you can do one of three things to fulfill that test score category on your application. The first thing that you can do is actually submit SAT or ACT scores if you've had the opportunity to take the test and if you feel confident with your scores. Even if you've had the opportunity to take the test, but you don't feel confident with your scores, I encourage you to apply test optionally. If you do submit scores, you can simply take a screenshot and email those to me. You certainly don't have to pay for those scores to be sent to Guilford. We do not have to have the official copy. So if you don't want to submit scores, if you want to apply test optionally, you can do two things. You can either submit a paper that you wrote in high school. So maybe you wrote a research paper for English class or a history essay or something like that. Anything that you feel good about, that you feel confident with, you can email that to me. I'll attach it to your application, and that'll take the place of your test scores. Or the second option is that you can choose one of our core values. So our core values that come from our Quaker tradition, community, diversity, equality, excellence, integrity, justice, and stewardship. You can choose one of those, and you can write a short essay telling us what that value means to you as an individual, and that will take the place of your test scores as well. If you do choose to write a core value essay, you can also email that to me, and I'll attach it to your application. We do recommend that students submit letters of recommendation, maybe 1 to 2 if possible, but if you don't have that as an option, letters of recommendation are not required, so we won't hold your application back. Also, if you've had the opportunity to chat with an admission counselor, we'll certainly pull those interview notes as we're reviewing your application as well. One of the things that we actually look for on our applications is demonstrated interest. You may have heard that term. But what that means is that, colleges track the amount of interaction that they've had with you. So one of the great things about you guys being on this session today is that we'll have note of that. So when we pull your application and when we read your application, we'll be like, oh, awesome. Okay, they attended our CTCL session. That's great. So we've had some interaction. So that's going to look really good on your application as well. Finally, if you'd like to submit an art, music, or writing portfolio as an additional piece to your application, please feel free to do so. We would be happy to review that with your application as well. December 1st is our early action deadline. So definitely keep that in your mind as you're going through your college application process this fall and think, okay, Guilford, December 1st. If you submit your application and all of your supporting materials, like your transcript, your essay, and your test scores or your test optional option, then you'll receive your decision from Guilford no later than December 31st. Following the holidays, we go to a regular decision application pool where we review your application and you receive a decision within about 3 weeks of completing it. And when we do review your application, if you're admitted to Guilford, you will automatically receive a scholarship. So every admitted student on campus receives a scholarship to help bring down the cost of attendance at Guilford. Our scholarships based on our applications range from $10,000 to $25,000 per year. And they are based on your application. So your transcript, your extracurricular activities, your service work, your essay, all the things that you submit with your application will be combined together to award you a scholarship. We do freeze our tuition for 4 years, so students don't have to worry about their scholarship losing value throughout their time as a student, since their tuition will not raise while they're on campus. And there are a few additional scholarship opportunities for students as well, including our Bonner Leaders program for students that have exhibited a strong amount of community service throughout high school. Also, our Quaker Leadership Scholars program for students that have a Quaker background or have been extremely invested in religious life throughout high school. Also, our honors program for our highly academic students as well. And in addition to the scholarship that you receive based on your application, we do encourage all of our applicants to file the FAFSA. The FAFSA is actually opening up very soon. It opens up October 1st. So you can start the process of filling out the FAFSA and getting that information here really in just the next coming week. So you can start that process soon. But we encourage everyone to file the FAFSA because it may open up the door for additional opportunities for financial aid. And if you are unable to file the FAFSA, we strongly encourage you to fill out our financial assessment worksheet as well, so we can still award you some additional funds in the form of a Guilford College grant. All right, you guys, that brings us to the end of the official presentation. This is my contact information. So my email address is hillma2@guilford.edu. And my cell phone number is 336-430-9328. And you're more than welcome to email me, call me, or text me at any time if you have questions as you're going through the application process or as you're looking at Guilford as one of your potential schools. So I'd like to give you guys just a few moments. I'm sure that at least somebody has a question that they'd like to ask. So please feel free to put that into the chat, and I'll go ahead and answer those questions that you guys have. Thank you so much for joining me this evening, and I'm looking forward to answering your questions. All right, guys, well, I'm not sure if we have any questions tonight, so no worries there. If you guys do have any follow-up questions, please don't hesitate to get in contact with me with my email address or my cell phone number. Thank you so much for joining. I'm going to turn it over to Owen for a final message from CTCL. Thank you for learning more about Guilford.
Great. Thank you so much for a great presentation. And thank you everyone for joining us. When you close the window of this presentation, there will be a link to take a very quick 4-question survey, and we'd appreciate any feedback that you can provide. Also, this is just one of many sessions being hosted both this evening and throughout the week, so be sure to sign up for additional sessions. And in about a week, you'll be able to find this session's recording as well as other sessions on the same place where you initially registered. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great evening.
Thank you so much, Owen. I appreciate it.
Bye.